The world does not reward emotion, it rewards control. The powerful are not those who feel deeply, but those who calculate deeply. In this video, we will dissect why only the cold and the cunning ever rise above the rest, and why mercy, empathy, and honesty are luxuries reserved for the powerless. Observe mankind, and you will see a tragedy disguised as civilization. The masses believe virtue leads to victory, but history whispers another truth. The crown belongs to those who can silence their hearts and think with ice in their veins. Every empire was built not on kindness, but on control. Every great ruler, every master manipulator understood one eternal law. Sentiment clouds strategy, while cold calculation carves destiny. In this analysis, we shall uncover the psychology of control, not the fantasy of goodness, but the mechanics of power. The question is not whether you are good, but whether you can command. There is a quiet truth: the powerful never speak aloud. Emotion is the first chain you must break if you ever wish to rule. Look around you, in politics, in business, in life. Those who cling to their feelings are devoured by those who control them. Because emotion, for all its warmth, blinds judgment. It turns the rational into the reckless. You believe your heart makes you human, but it also makes you predictable. History proves this with a cruel consistency. When Caesar showed mercy to his enemies, what was his reward? A knife between the ribs. When rulers governed with compassion, their subjects loved them for a season, then tore them down when their weakness was exposed. The masses admire kindness, yes, but they obey strength. So ask yourself, do you wish to be loved? Or do you wish to be obeyed? Because these two cannot coexist for long. Emotion is the fog that covers the battlefield of the mind. It clouds reason, it clouds timing, it clouds power itself. And yet most people wear their emotions like armor, not realizing it makes them easy targets. A cold strategist, however, learns to conceal warmth behind calculation. He knows that feeling is private, while expression is tactical. You may feel anger, but do not reveal it. You may feel affection, but do not act on it. Emotion must never be your master. It must be your instrument. Consider the chessboard of history. Those who ruled empires understood the necessity of emotional death. A king cannot tremble when he orders execution. A commander cannot hesitate when sacrifice ensures victory. It is not cruelty, it is clarity. The ability to see beyond the immediate pain toward the enduring result. Most men fail not because they are unskilled, but because they are sentimental. They let pity delay punishment. They let pride spark unnecessary war. They let desire blur the line between loyalty and lust. This is why the cold and the calculated rise, not because they are evil, but because they are unmoved. Their detachment gives them sight. They can read others clearly, because they are not blinded by their own reflection. You see, emotion distorts perception. It makes you believe people mean what they say. It makes you assume loyalty where there is only convenience. But the one who observes without attachment sees the truth. People are emotional by nature, and thus they are manipulable. A calm mind can rule a chaotic world. Psychology confirms what power long understood: emotion narrows attention. When you are angry, your world shrinks to the source of your rage. When you are afraid, your focus collapses into survival. And when you are in love, you willingly hand your freedom to another. This is not human tragedy, it is human design. The manipulator thrives here. He does not fight emotion, he directs it. He provokes outrage to distract. He gives hope to pacify. He rewards desire to control. In the theater of power, emotion is both weapon and weakness, depending on who wields it. So, what does it mean to kill emotion? It does not mean to feel nothing. It means to govern what you feel as a ruler governs his realm. Firmly, selectively, with purpose. You choose when to display joy, when to reveal sympathy, when to appear enraged. Each feeling becomes a performance, a calculated signal sent to influence others. This is what separates leaders from followers. The follower reacts. The leader decides. When someone insults you, do you react in anger? Or do you calculate what reaction would serve you best? If silence humiliates your enemy more than fury ever could, would you have the discipline to stay silent? power is not found in emotion's fire, but in the ability to contain it without extinguishing its heat. The heart may burn, but the face remains calm. Because composure terrifies, it implies control, and control is the currency of every throne. So, learn to freeze your impulses before they expose you. Learn to smile when betrayed, to listen when provoked, to appear uncertain when you are already 2 moves ahead. In this world, emotional transparency is suicide. You will be told to be authentic, to be open, to feel deeply. But understand, those who preach vulnerability are often the ones who benefit when you fall apart. The powerful man listens to emotion as one listens to thunder, with awareness, but without fear. He studies it, measures it, uses it to predict storms in others. But he never lets it drown him. Because once you master emotion, you master people. And once you master people, you never need to feel powerless again. There is a kind of power that does not shout, does not command, and yet dominates completely. It is the power of distance. The strength of one who watches while others drown in their own reactions. This is strategic detachment, the art of observing without participating, the ability to stand at the center of chaos, untouched. Most people believe that involvement gives them control. They rush into conflict, into argument, into emotion, thinking their presence will shape the outcome. But the wise know the opposite is true. The one who steps back sees the entire field. In a world consumed by noise, silence becomes the ultimate weapon. When others act impulsively, your restraint turns into power. Think of the battlefield. The first soldier to move is often the first to die. The general who waits, who studies, who measures the rhythm of the enemy's chaos. He is the one who commands victory. In politics, in negotiation, in relationships, this same law rules. He who observes without reaction governs, those who cannot stop reacting. Ask yourself, how often do you speak simply to fill silence? How often do you reveal your intentions before they are ready? Every unnecessary word, every premature move, exposes your mind to those who wish to read it. Detachment is the art of remaining invisible, not in body, but in motive. You show your face, but not your purpose. You appear calm, yet inside, you calculate. Every emotion is disguised as composure, every thought hidden behind indifference. This does not mean you lack passion. It means your passion obeys you. Think of the diplomat who negotiates peace while knowing he will later declare war. His words charm, his silence conceals. He does not lie, he waits. He understands that truth is useless until it serves power. The same principle rules human psychology. People act as if emotional display equals authenticity. They believe that transparency builds trust. But in truth, transparency builds vulnerability. The more you reveal, the less control you hold. Detachment, however, gives you vision. It is the distance that turns confusion into pattern. When you step back, you see what others cannot: their fears, their motives, their hidden weaknesses beneath performance. Imagine walking into a room full of people arguing, shouting, competing for dominance. You say nothing, you watch. Within minutes, you can see who leads, who follows, who pretends. Their need to prove themselves exposes everything. And you, the silent observer, become the quiet center of gravity they begin to orbit around. This is not magic, it is psychology. Humans instinctively seek validation from attention and fear its withdrawal. When you withhold reaction, people chase your approval. When you remain unreadable, they begin to project their own desires and fears onto you. In that projection, you gain leverage. Power flows not from motion, but from control over motion. And control begins with observation. Even emperors knew this truth. When rulers disguised their thoughts, they ruled longer. When they revealed too much, they were betrayed by those who studied them. A ruler must see all, and be seen as little as possible. The same applies to you. In your daily life, in your ambitions, in your conflicts, learn to watch. Observe how people react to power, to praise, to insult. You will learn more by silence than by speech. Most men fail because they cannot bear stillness. They mistake detachment for weakness. They crave involvement because in silence they must face themselves. But those who master detachment master time itself. for they no longer move at the pace of others. They choose when to act, and that is the essence of control. When everyone rushes to speak, your silence grows louder. When they act from emotion, your restraint becomes prophecy. When they fight for attention, you become the one they cannot ignore. Because detachment is not absence. It is possession of self. You are there, but untouchable. You are present, but unreadable. You belong to the world, but the world cannot claim you. In that distance lies freedom, the kind that cannot be manipulated, cannot be threatened, cannot be broken. So, train your eyes to see what others miss. Train your mind to wait when others rush. And when you finally choose to move, your strike will be surgical, inevitable, and devastating. Remember, the detached man does not lose power by standing still. He gathers it. He lets others reveal their hands while he studies the game. And when the time comes, he plays a move they never saw coming. Because the one who observes inevitably becomes the one who commands. Power rarely lies in truth. It lies in perception, in how truth is seen, shaped, and sold. The world doesn't obey reality. It obeys the illusion that feels real. You can control a man's body through force, but to control his mind, you must master the lens through which he sees the world. This is the essence of psychological control. You do not need to change the scene. You only need to change how it appears. Every great ruler, every cunning strategist understood this. Caesar shaped himself not as a man, but as a myth. He marched into Rome not merely with legions, but with legend. He made the people believe he was destiny itself. And once they believed, his enemies had already lost. Ask yourself, how much of what you believe is truly your own thought? And how much is perception carefully fed to you by those who profit from your belief? Perception is the invisible leash of society. It moves crowds, turns opinions, decides wars before they begin. The one who controls perception doesn't need to fight. He simply writes the narrative others die for. Look at modern life. Politicians manipulate perception to appear strong, even when they are weak. Corporations sell you a dream and call it a product. Influencers disguise emptiness as virtue, and millions follow their illusion. The world is not ruled by power alone. It is ruled by those who appear powerful. That is why perception is not decoration. It is defense. Your image becomes your armor. If others see you as confident, they treat you as capable. If they see you as dominant, they defer without knowing why. And if they see you as uncertain, they will feed on your hesitation like wolves. The trick is not to be everything you appear to be. The trick is to appear precisely what serves your strategy. In court, the cunning minister pretends loyalty while planting seeds of doubt in others. In war, the wise general feigns weakness to draw his enemies closer. In life, the intelligent man conceals his ambition behind modesty, until it's too late for others to stop him. This is not deception for sport. It is survival by intelligence. Because if you refuse to shape perception, someone else will shape it for you. You must learn to see the world as theater. Every person plays a role, whether they admit it or not. Your job is not to join the play blindly. It is to direct it. When you enter a room, the scene begins to shift. People adjust to your posture, your tone, your silence. Your every detail, your glance, your pause, your timing, tells a story about who you are. If you do not write that story yourself, others will write it in ways that serve them. Understand this: people rarely judge truth. They judge presentation. They believe what is delivered with confidence, repetition, and authority. That is why the weak shout to be heard, and the powerful speak once and echo forever. Psychology names this the halo effect. When people perceive one strength in you, intelligence, confidence, charm, they project more strengths that you may not even possess. A single illusion of superiority can create the reality of influence. Perception does not require lies. It requires control of contrast. You decide what is shown, what is hidden, what is emphasized. Like a painter using shadow to define light, you craft what others believe through selective revelation. Consider the monarch who keeps his private life veiled. The mystery breeds awe. The unknown becomes larger than the known. and the people fill the void with reverence. Mystery is not emptiness. It is a stage curtain that hides your power until it strikes. You must learn to control the lens through which others see you. Never show desperation, even when you are cornered. Never show full victory, even when you have won. Both extremes reveal too much, leave space for speculation. It keeps people engaged and afraid to assume. Perception is not about pleasing everyone. It's about managing what they can know. If you control what people can see, you control what they can believe. And if you control belief, you no longer need to argue. So ask yourself now, are you the actor or the director behind the curtain? Because every society, every relationship, every moment of influence runs on this silent rule. The one who controls perception writes reality, and those who fail to understand this become prisoners of someone else's illusion. There is a difference between cruelty and calculation. The cruel act from impulse, the calculated act from necessity, and in the ruthless geometry of power, necessity always wins. To rule, to command, to ascend, you must learn to wield compassion not as a reflex, but as a tool. For compassion, when uncontrolled, enslaves the heart. But when mastered, it becomes the sharpest instrument of manipulation. You have been told that kindness conquers, that mercy earns loyalty, that love is strength. But look deeper. Has the world ever truly rewarded the merciful? Caesar was merciful and was murdered by those he spared. Leniency made him beloved and predictable. His enemies knew exactly how far his mercy would reach. Meanwhile, rulers who mixed fear with grace, those who balanced ruthlessness with selective mercy, they endured. Because their compassion was never given freely. It was earned and therefore feared. So ask yourself, do you show mercy because it serves your purpose, or because you cannot bear to appear cruel? This question separates rulers from victims. You see, most people misunderstand ruthlessness. They think it means bloodlust or violence. But true ruthlessness is far colder and far more elegant. It is the ability to cut away what weakens you, even when it hurts. It is emotional discipline masquerading as hardness. In power, every choice has a cost. Mercy can be moral, but it can also be expensive. Sometimes, sparing one life condemns 100 more. Sometimes forgiving one betrayal invites 10 new ones. The wise do not act to feel good. They act to maintain control. This is why true compassion must be strategic. A ruler who shows mercy too often creates dependency, not loyalty. People begin to expect forgiveness instead of fearing judgment. And the moment fear dies, respect follows. Think of it like this: power depends on balance. Too much cruelty, rebellion. Too much kindness, decay. The ruler must stand between the two like a surgeon between life and death. Cutting without hesitation, healing without attachment. Psychology reveals that humans respect boundaries more than benevolence. When you deny what others take for granted, your approval becomes currency. When you forgive too easily, your forgiveness loses its value. Compassion, then, must be rare. It must arrive like sunlight after a long winter. Powerful because it is not constant. Consider a leader who punishes betrayal swiftly and publicly, but rewards loyalty quietly and deeply. Over time, his followers learn one thing: every act has consequence. They do not serve him because he is kind, but because he is predictable in his power. That is the essence of calculated ruthlessness. Fairness without softness. It is the cold understanding that human beings respect what they fear losing. And yet, there are moments when compassion itself becomes a weapon. When offered sparingly, it disarms the suspicious. It confuses the enemy who expected only cruelty. It earns trust just long enough to control. History remembers 1,000 conquerors, but only a few who mastered this balance. Alexander spared defeated kings, not out of mercy, but to parade their loyalty as trophies. Napoleon rewarded his soldiers with glory, not love. He fed their pride to command their obedience. Even modern leaders do the same. They speak of unity, of peace, of empathy. All while dividing the people in ways that ensure control. They have learned the oldest rule of power: kindness is not weakness when it serves a calculated end. You, too, can wield it. Learn to offer compassion not from emotion, but from precision. Ask, what outcome will my mercy buy? Will it strengthen my position or weaken it? Will it teach loyalty or invite manipulation? If the answer serves no strategic purpose, withhold it. Because every time you give without intent, you surrender a piece of your authority. The powerful know when to strike and when to forgive for effect. The weak confuse the two, believing virtue protects them from consequence. But virtue unguarded becomes vulnerability, and in a world built on ambition, vulnerability is blood in the water. So the next time your heart urges you to forgive, to comfort, to yield, pause. Ask yourself, will this act restore order or erode it? Will it breed strength or softness? And if the answer is softness, cut it away, because power demands not constant cruelty, but ruthless clarity. The ability to choose when mercy serves you and when it destroys you. Remember, compassion is a blade. In the wrong hands, it wounds the wielder, but in the right hands, it conquers without war. Silence is the most underestimated weapon in the art of power. Words reveal, silence conceals. And what is concealed controls. The world believes that power belongs to those who speak the loudest. But history shows otherwise. The true rulers were not the noisiest. They were the ones who could make others speak for them. When a man controls his tongue, he controls perception. When he controls perception, he controls outcome. Silence, then, is not absence. It is strategy. Think of the council chambers of kings. When the room buzzed with voices, who held the power? Not the advisor arguing, not the general boasting, not the minister flattering. It was the one who sat still, watching, saying nothing. All eyes drifted toward him. Every silence became a mystery, and mystery is influence. The silent man is feared because he cannot be read. His stillness forces others to fill the void with their own anxieties. They imagine what he thinks, what he plans, what he knows. And in that uncertainty, they lose balance. You have seen this in life. The person who speaks less always seems wiser. The boss who pauses before replying holds more authority. The lover who doesn't chase becomes the one pursued. Silence distorts time, it shifts control. When you speak, you give shape to your thoughts. When you remain silent, others project their own thoughts onto you. And often, their imagination makes you larger than you are. This is the paradox of power. The less you say, the more they listen. The less you explain, the more they believe. Why? Because silence creates tension, and tension breeds fascination. People crave certainty. When you deny it, they chase it. They analyze your expression, your pauses, your tone, trying to find meaning that you never gave them. In that chase, you become the center of their attention. You are no longer reacting to their world, they are reacting to yours. This is how power quietly shifts. Look back at the greatest leaders, emperors, conquerors, even modern executives. They did not waste energy justifying their decisions. They let the results, the symbols, and the silence speak for them. When they entered a room, they didn't need to announce their dominance. They simply occupied it. Psychology confirms this truth. Humans associate silence with confidence. The one who can endure the discomfort of quiet appears composed, intelligent, superior. Meanwhile, the insecure rush to fill the air, revealing too much in their need to be understood. Silence is patience weaponized. It gives you time to observe patterns others overlook, to read emotions hidden between words, to detect lies disguised as flattery. Most people fear silence because it exposes them to themselves. They cannot stand the echo of their own mind, so they drown it with sound. But when you embrace silence, it becomes your laboratory. You begin to see the hidden architecture of human behavior. Who dominates, who submits, who manipulates, who bleeds for attention. In negotiation, silence is psychological pressure. The one who speaks first loses ground. The longer you wait, the more your opponent reveals, not because you asked, but because your stillness demanded confession. Even in conflict, silence breaks enemies faster than threats. A calm face where anger is expected breeds fear. Your opponent cannot predict you, they cannot prepare. Their imagination, once unleashed, punishes them more than any weapon could. But silence must not be empty. It must mean something. Each pause should feel intentional. like the held breath before a storm. True silence speaks louder than sound because it communicates power without explanation. So, how do you master it? First, speak only when your words alter the balance of a situation. Second, use pauses as blades, sharp, deliberate, and timed to cut attention. And third, never explain yourself twice. Those who need repetition were never meant to understand you. Let your tone be calm. Your words, few. Your presence, heavy. This combination unsettles those addicted to noise. They will reveal themselves in their reaction to your quiet. Remember, the moment you defend yourself, you give others power. The moment you explain your silence, you lose its magic. You must let others wonder. Not because you owe no answer, but because mystery feeds control. In a world obsessed with speaking, restraint becomes rebellion, and rebellion commands attention. So speak less than you think, observe more than you reveal, and when you finally choose to break the silence, make sure your words land like judgment. Because the true king does not shout to be heard. He whispers once, and the world goes quiet. If you wish to hold power, you must first destroy illusion. Because illusion is comfort, and comfort is the death of control. Most people see the world not as it is, but as they want it to be. They dress human nature in moral language, hoping to tame it. But the wise know, man remains the same creature he was 1,000 years ago, hungry, fearful, ambitious, and deceitful when cornered. The mask changes. The instincts do not. To master people, you must see through that mask without flinching. You must study the beast beneath the suit, the appetite behind the smile. For only when you accept man's ugliness can you truly use his beauty. You believe people are loyal because they care. But loyalty is built on advantage, not affection. As long as you serve their interest, they will serve yours. When that interest fades, so will their devotion. This is not cynicism. It is clarity. The farmer who denies winter will lose his crops. The ruler who denies human nature will lose his crown. Look back at history. Every fallen kingdom began with idealism. Rulers who believed their people would love them without consequence. Generals who trusted friendship over discipline, thinkers who mistook morality for strength. They believed men were good until men reminded them they were human. Even religion understood this long before psychology gave it language. Fear governs the masses better than love, because fear does not waver. Love fades when tested, fear obeys even in silence. Ask yourself, how many people in your life act from virtue, and how many from gain? When they help, is it for goodness or for image? When they listen, is it for empathy or advantage? Strip away the polite excuses, and you'll see the truth. Every exchange is a transaction, even the ones wrapped in kindness. And yet, this truth is not bitter. It is liberating. Because when you see people as they are, you no longer take betrayal personally. You expect it, plan for it, and use it. That is the beginning of real power. Cold realism is not heartlessness. It is intelligence unclouded by hope. It allows you to move through the world like a surgeon. Steady, observant, detached from illusion. When someone flatters you, you do not absorb it, you analyze it. When someone attacks you, you do not react, you calculate what motivated them. When someone professes loyalty, you ask, what do they stand to gain? Because every word spoken hides an agenda, every smile masks a calculation. Even virtue, when displayed too loudly, seeks an audience. The realist does not judge these truths. He uses them. If people crave validation, feed it, and guide them where you want them to go. If they fear rejection, withhold approval, and they will chase your favor. If they lust for recognition, make them believe serving you gives it meaning. Manipulation becomes simple once you understand the predictable machinery of human need. But beware, to see clearly is to stand alone. The crowd hates those who expose their illusions. They will call you cold, cynical, cruel, because they cannot bear the mirror you hold up to them. They need their lies to survive. You have learned to thrive without them. Still, never reveal your realism too openly. Let others believe you are kind, moral, idealistic. Their trust is the camouflage that shields your strategy. Appear human, think like a ruler. This duality is the mark of true control. The public figure who smiles while manipulating behind the curtain. The negotiator who speaks of fairness while calculating every advantage. The lover who promises forever but guards their freedom. It is not deceit. It is survival through awareness. Cold realism does not ask you to reject morality. It asks you to understand its limits. Morality governs societies, not power. Emotion governs individuals, not destiny. And those who forget this are destined to serve those who remember. So study human nature the way a general studies terrain. Every flaw, every fear, every craving is a pathway. And once you know the terrain, every battle becomes predictable. The realist commands not by domination, but by comprehension. He knows what drives men, and therefore how to lead them, deceive them, reward them, or destroy them. The world will tell you to trust, to forgive, to hope. Do so, but never blindly. Let your trust be conditional, your forgiveness strategic, your hope measured. That is how you remain unbroken in a world built on betrayal. Because in the end, the powerful do not seek a better humanity. They seek to rule the one that exists. Power is never taken by force alone. It is granted through ignorance. The most effective control is invisible. When people believe they are free, yet move exactly as you wish, you have achieved true mastery. You don't shout commands. You whisper desires. You don't chain the body. You guide the mind. Control begins when you understand that most men seek direction more than freedom, approval more than truth. So you feed their hunger, and they call it loyalty. You hide your intent behind generosity, and they call it trust. You make them chase illusions, and they call it purpose. Ask yourself, how many people do you control without them ever realizing it? And how many control you the same way? Remember, manipulation is not cruelty. It's the natural order of power. Those who see the strings rule those who don't. Now, tell me, what did this reveal to you about your own world? Comment your thoughts below. Subscribe if you hunger for more Machiavellian strategies. And share this video. Let others believe they are learning philosophy while you are mastering control.